Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white light.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison. Today I'm joined by the great Ken Silva. It is September 24th. I've had a good morning so far, a little breakfast, a little coffee. I hope you have as well, Ken. I'm sure you've been kind of like a chicken with your head cut off as a journalist with the way news are this morning. I am aware of the breaking news. I've had at least 4 of you guys probably tag me in it today. So thank you, though. Keep doing that. But yes, I'm aware. We will get to some of that, but it's a pleasure to have you with me today, Ken, because we definitely wanted to get into... Actually, last time I had you on, I really wanted to get into the Ryan Rouse stuff, but I don't know, I just didn't come up with so many other things, but now it kind of makes more sense. We'll go along to that, and I mean, that kind of perfectly ties into everything else we'll go into. Figure maybe we open up a little bit about talking about Jimmy Kimmel, kind of rub it in the face of the right about how they're retarded. And I don't know, maybe talk a little bit about some of the craziness coming out from Tucker. And there are a couple little things maybe I figured might talk about a little bit some of the Kirk stuff here and there, but nothing too deep. But I'm pleasure to have you with me. But how you been?
Yeah, pretty good. I don't think we've actually, like you said, we haven't really gone deep into Ryan Roos. It would probably even merit, one of your evening shows where we have a full hour, because it's a whole chapter in my book, The Trump Assassinations, What the Investigations Missed and Why It Matters. That should be out in a couple months. And I've got a big, long chapter devoted to Roos and this whole backstory.
Well, actually, I like that then, because I was thinking about man, we've never really delved into this enough. We did a couple assassination episodes, but they kind of all blur together, the different events. Mm-hmm. And if anything, the Routh thing became kind of a footnote to the other one. So, you're right. Yeah, we should definitely do that, actually. We'll have to schedule that after this. We'll set that up. But and we'll do more of a cursory glance on some of the stuff. Obviously, the latest we'll talk about. But before we get into it, I guess I figured, I'd like to kind of start off with something a little bit more pop culture-y-ish to start off the show. And I figured it's timely to kind of everything else. I figured we'd kind of start off with a little... Are you kidding me? Give me a second. Sorry, StreamYard, literally, as soon as I shared it, immediately it started glitching. So give me a second. I was not able to smoothly do that segue. Sorry. I was trying to do tech things at the same time, guys. Here you go. All right. So congrats on making Kimmel relevant again, everybody. That's all I have to say. But I do want to play this video from, this is Kimmel himself. He came back on, and it was kind of ping-ponging whether he was or not. So I figured we watch this, and I do also find it kind of funny seeing Tim Pool here, and still kind of this silly, limp-wristed, right-winged, we're doing something nonsense, whatever this is. But let's go ahead and play this.
I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make, but I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. Ever. And also, selfishly.
So with that, way to go, America. You made Jimmy Kimmel relevant again. And actually, like, really, I don't know, pretty good message, I thought. What do you think, Ken? I don't know if you have much to say on it. Frankly, I'm kind of annoyed that this is even a thing. That, like, why are we... Like, kind of, that's my whole point. Look, you're making Kimmel look heroic. Good for you guys.
Yeah, I'm totally on the same page as far as that goes. But, yeah, this is the first time I've watched that video. That's kind of brutal. The fake tears again, like...
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. But, yeah, it's like they kind of did, not in the literal sense, but kind of like Charlie Kirk, who just made this guy a martyr instead of, like, a failed comedian who's fizzling out. Now he's... a free speech warrior. So it seems to have backfired. And I don't know why somebody in the administration couldn't have seen like 2 steps ahead.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead and get to what we wanted to talk about today. You've been lately. There's been some new news in the Ralph stuff. I guess I haven't, like I said, I haven't been paying attention near as much as I should have, really, with everything else going on. I guess maybe pretty early on, maybe I did kind of write him off as just some crazy TurboLib. So, I mean, just kind of, I guess, what's the latest? I know, did he try to kill himself after being found guilty or some crazy? To be honest, wasn't even aware we were quite at that stage in the trial. And by the way, also I wanted to bring that up too, because I wasn't aware there was actually someone that was harmed, and I guess in the perpetration of, I don't know, his theoretical crime, if it actually was a thing. That I guess in the chase that he did, they got in some sort of crash and there was a girl hurt. So I didn't realize that. And I know I have a soft spot for little kids. So I just wanted to address that real quick.
So do I. That's why I have no sympathy for this guy, because this was just a total exercise in narcissism. If you read his letters, he pretty much wanted to make history, change the world, because he's that kind of guy. So let him rot in prison for the rest of his life. The trial was supposed to last until mid-October, but it went that badly that the government kind of just speed ran through the evidence and rested its case because Ruth is such a clown. I mean, his opening arguments, Judge Cannon allotted him 45 minutes to speak to the jury, and within 5 minutes, he's going off on some tangent about like Hitler and Gaza. And the judge interrupts him, sends out the jury, and says, like, Ryan, you got to stick to the facts of the case. This is irrelevant. I'm going to give you one more chance. She brings the jury back in, and Ryan immediately goes back to his same tangent. And that's when Judge Cannon just cut him off there, says, you don't get an opening statement. Things didn't get much better from there. The FBI and the DOJ presenting its evidence, like the Secret Service agent who spotted him in the bushes testified, saying, like, I saw him about 5 feet away from me. He was pointing a rifle right at me. And Ryan's cross-examination, he's like, oh, well, were you actually harmed? Did I actually shoot you? And the agent's like, well, no, but you're pointing a gun at me. That's kind of traumatic. So, like, it's just, the old saying, like, he who represents himself as a fool for lawyer. That's like, you could definitely put an exclamation point on that for this case. His defense, government presented all its evidence. Like, he ran away. He left all his stuff there. His fingerprints were on the gun, on the scene. You had surveillance footage showing him driving away. You had geolocation data putting him there. You even had a witness who saw him run, get into the Xterra, and drive away. So it was like an open and shut case. And Ryan presented one expert witness who said that, well, when I test fired his rifle, it misfired on the second shot, but the first shot was successful. And as we've seen with the Charlie Kirk case, you only need one shot. So that didn't help him at all. And then he had 2 former friends testify about how he was like a good guy. And it's just like, they even had to admit, like, oh, these are like his buddies from North Carolina. And they're like, well, we haven't seen him in 6 years because he moved to Hawaii and then he went over to Ukraine. So I don't know how the hell I don't even know what he was thinking. The reason he was able to do this is because he had lawyers and he fired them like 2 months ago, and he was going to mount his own defense. And I think a lot of people are listening are probably like, well, this guy's clearly not all well in the head. Why didn't he try to launch some kind of an insanity defense? Well, his lawyers had already foregone that. Like earlier in the year, they missed the deadline. And plus, he had two mental health experts evaluate him and say, he's narcissistic. He might be borderline schizotypal, but he's fit to stand trial. So yeah, after 3 weeks, half the time that was allotted, he rests his case. Yesterday, the jury starts deliberating around lunchtime. It didn't even take him 2 hours to come back and reach a guilty verdict, which is like historically fast. I've never seen a jury reach a verdict that fast in a case of this magnitude. And yeah, Ruth immediately reportedly grabs a pen, tries to stab himself. The marshals have to restrain him. They take him away. They cuff him up, put him in feet binds, hand binds, bring him out to the judge. And then his daughter starts hysterically screaming, "Don't do anything to yourself. We're going to get you out." I don't know how she figures that. She storms out of the courtroom. You see video footage of her briskly walking away as all the cameras are chasing her. And yeah, that's where we are. He still has to be sentenced. And then there's a couple other people tangentially involved in this case, and they're going to be sentenced too for like selling him an illegal firearm. But we're pretty much wrapped up. And yeah, I hope he rots.
Now, I always kind of, with this, when I've, not that I've dug too much in this, you always kind of spy around like, what the hell is going on here? I mean, this guy, kind of a term we use in our fields, I guess, is glowing. This guy glows like the sun, but his craziness and the bizarrety of it all kind of almost sells you on the, like, I don't know, I guess he was just doing, maybe it wasn't like, yeah, he does have all this. He does glow in the sense that he has all these different connections and this and that looks suspicious. But when you look at his actions, he kind of does look like an insane man. But at the same time, it also looks like sometimes the actions of like an asset or something. You're like, what the hell is going on here? Like, obviously, he's gone to such a level of absurd that you're like, it's hard to believe this is just some crazy act. But do you ever see any sort of method in the madness? I mean, we're in the days of the George Zinn and like in the Kirk shooting. And so I don't know, it's not that crazy to go, are there people who just do this sort of whatever? I mean, I don't know, because like I admit, like I see these articles come out from you and I laugh at this stuff. This sounds like some bits that back when I had Tower Gang that we would like come up with, like goofing around in the like kind of workshop. Like, oh, what if we did this? That'd be funny. What if we did that? And like that is it just people toying with us? Are we losing our minds? Or what the fuck is this? Do you ever see Method of the Madness, or is it just somehow a TurboLib just did end up in these areas where he is kind of glancing up against, kind of dusting up against things that give him a little bit of a glow, kind of rubbing up against the fluorescent lights. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is going on?
That's a really good question that I've been grappling with. I think somebody definitely planted the idea in his head. And the most suspicious aspect about this case is that he had been hiding in the bushes for about 11 hours before he almost took a shot at Trump at 1 p.m. that day. Specifically, he started hiding in the bushes at 2:30 a.m., according to the search warrants. And if you read a separate report from the House Task Force, Trump had not planned to golf that day. It was a last-minute decision, like before he went to bed. And the report from the House Task Force specifically says that the Secret Service was notified at 2 a.m. that Trump was going to go golfing later that day. So like the timing of the Secret Service being notified about the golf plans and Ruth showing up to the golf course is like a striking coincidence. And I'll also add that Senator Lindsey Graham was supposed to golf with Trump that morning, but he cancels. So I know I'm kind of suggesting a conspiracy, and I don't have any evidence of that. It could be a coincidence because he's representing himself. And I got to imagine at any point he could have blurted out if he were actually, if some were working with him. I think it's more of a case of people were nudging him and saying, oh, somebody would be a real hero if they took out Trump. I equate him more to like a Charlie Manson type guy. If you read the book Chaos, like he wasn't a witting government asset, but clearly people were watching him through his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that about Ruth is because in my investigation, I uncovered that he's been on the ATS radar since 2002, where he was arrested locally for having explosives, and the ATF became involved in that case. He got probation for that, violated the probation multiple times. In 2010, he gets another felony charge for running this giant enterprise where he had a construction company, and he would actually go to sites where he was hired, do the work in the day, but then at the night, he would send crackheads to go like rip out the wire and steal equipment and bring it to him to sell it. And he got caught from that based off of like undercover local Greensboro police informants. And for that, it violated his previous probation, but then he didn't serve any time in jail. He got more probation despite these like really egregious crimes that could land you into jail for like 10, 15 years. He goes to Ukraine. Or before he goes to Ukraine in 2019, he's in Hawaii, and somebody notices that he's playing around with guns when they know he's a felon. That person reported him to the FBI that never took any further actions. He goes to Ukraine and he's talking about like assassinating foreign leaders, and he freaks out a bunch of people over there who again reported him to like the State Department, to Interpol, to the FBI in 2022. He comes home. He gets interviewed by Customs and Border Protection, admits that, yes, I've been recruiting Afghans, recruiting Syrians, potential like jihad terrorists to go fight in the proxy war against Russia. And they just let him through. The case gets referred to DHS that takes no further action. So I was counting it. It's like 7 or 8 federal agencies all had this guy on their radar, and somehow he was able to operate with impunity. So
looks like Roger Moore lost some weight.
Going on there. He wasn't like a Timothy McVeigh, like smarter type of guy, but I think somebody was like letting him roam around and seeing what happens. I don't know.
There's a there, but what it is, I don't know. It is so bizarre. Then to the Zinn parallels too. There's CSAM, CP, child porn, whatever you want to call it in this too. I mean, it isn't directly from him, but it's his son. Although we've talked about this before in the past, that started before all of this went into effect. But I don't know. I know we're in a schizo land. You can always, think of ways that would make sense. But even that aside, even if you don't try to go into some sort of planned whatever, just the idea that there's CP there, it's kind of the son. Even if we were to accept it's organic. It's the component of, where do apples come from? They come from apple trees. I mean, like, obviously, like, I don't know. I have zero evidence of that. But if I have a child that's CP, you kind of have these people have the assumption something happened to this guy, probably as a child. I don't know, maybe, who knows? He developed this thing as an adult, whatever. But, hurt people, and he is the son of him. So it is like if you are thinking about components of control, there's not many things that you can use to control someone much better than a predilection to child porn or something or a relative that has such a thing. These are the sort of levers of control that are super duper easy, and they seem to show up all the time whenever these sort of things come up.
Yeah, I actually did cover the son's criminal proceedings because that's up in Greensboro, and I live in North Carolina, so. He was actually into not 764, but related groups, really disgusting stuff. And during his sentencing hearing, we heard that he was not terribly abused as a kid, but the father, Ryan, was like really overbearing. He's one of those guys that would like give the son 10 books to read and then like quiz him on it. And if he gets something wrong, he would like really verbally berate him. And then at one point, he gets divorced with the mom. The kid, Oren, is living with the mom for a while, then goes to live with Ryan, and they got into a fight, and Ryan kicked him down a flight of steps. So, it gives an insight into why the kid was so messed up. It also shows that, like, Ryan was not this, like, good guy that he tries to paint himself to be.
Yeah, and then his daughter says he's great, though. Obviously, she was crying about him and everything. So, I mean, it's just such a bizarre, I don't know. I mean... I almost want to like segue right into the Elon stuff, but I'll probably save that for tomorrow because I haven't even looked into that. I mean, that's another one that I was kind of like, kind of the schizophrenic in me kind of already assumed some of those things, as awful as that may be. But there's some weird stuff that came out there recently. But yeah, I guess anything more in the Ralph kind of realm before we move on to, I guess, kind of the latest in I guess what's probably an ongoing story. Me and you are going to be, obviously, this is fog of the moment type thing. So, but there's a shooting, I guess, or of some sort, something to do with an ice thing. But I don't know if there's anything. Actually, Rick, I do have a tweet up right now. I guess Kash Patel put out a tweet essentially on how they're proud of the FBI and our partners for working together to deliver justice against Ryan Routh, the individual attempted to assassinate President Trump. We have a lot more work to do to crack down on political violence and make sure those who engage in this heinous behavior are off the streets and behind bars. We won't stop. So I guess just kind of your thoughts. I mean, it's almost like I didn't even say it, because it's kind of just almost goes without being said at this point when it comes to Kash Patel or the FBI at large. But I mean, we're at the point where I'm talking to normal people, and pretty much most of them are kind of like, literally kind of, yeah, Israel did it. I'm like, okay, Jesus. Like, it's just, like, I'm not saying that. Like, this is just like normal people are like this is where people, like, they don't believe the FBI at all. Like, no one, and these are people that I'm talking about, like the sort of people that I tend to interact with as normal people in my life tend to be the demographic that would be their demographic, and they're all like, they're full of shit. So just kind of, I guess, on that though, where are you at with like Ralph and how good of a job they did or did not do?
Well, I mentioned that, he has been on the FBI's radar since at least 2019. So if anything, contrary to Cash Yap's tweet, this underscores the FBI's failure, because not only was he on the FBI's radar for at least 5 years, after the Secret Service agent spotted him in the bush, he ran off, and it was a witness who saw him get into the Xterra. The witness got the license plate and then talked to the Secret Service until local cops showed up, the county sheriffs, and then he gives the information to the sheriffs, who put out a bolo, and then it's like 45 minutes later that sheriffs in Martin County, another county up north, pull him over the I-95. So the FBI had nothing to do with apprehending him, and in fact, if Ryan had good lawyers, he might have had at least a 1% chance of injecting reasonable doubt into the jury, because this is one of the pretrial motions that came up, is that the FBI actually pretty much, like, you could argue, tampered with the witness. Basically, the witness saw Ruth run away. The sheriffs took him in a helicopter to that traffic jam on I-95 and showed him Ryan, and the witness is like, yeah, that's the guy I saw. But then later, like, the FBI just showed him a single picture of Ryan Ruth and says, oh, this is the guy you saw, right? So instead of putting Ryan into like a whole lineup of potential suspects, they showed him one picture. And that's something where if Ryan had good lawyers, they could have argued that that was improper by the FBI to do. They could have tried to impugn the witness, like, hey, are you sure? Like, the FBI only showed you one picture. How could you even know? So we'll never know if that would have been a successful strategy. But we know, the FBI also, they disassembled his rifle like a month. Like, they collected it from the scene, took it to Quantico, and then took it apart and put it in a drawer. And when the defense finally tested it in like January, that's when it misfired on the second shot. So again, like, this probably wouldn't have got Ruth off, but it just shows you how sloppy the FBI was. Last thing I want to say about this case, because we touched on it a little, but that girl that was injured is because when they pulled him over on I-95, the traffic backs up. Mother unfortunately slams into the backed up traffic. The girl almost dies. They have to take her to the hospital. As far as I know, she's still basically in a coma. They're like trying to restart her brain. Just awful. Jesus. But along with the tragedy of this, the implications are that the state has an attempted murder charge against Ryan. So feasibly, this could be like a Terry Nichols situation where if DeSantis wanted to, they could still put him on trial for attempted murder. And I don't think that's going to happen because now the Trump administration's in charge and DeSantis is friends with the Trump guys. But if Biden was in charge, I think they would have put him on trial, and then we would have got a lot more transparency on this case, a lot more discovery, a lot more information. So I hope it still happens. I doubt it will, but it would have been a good thing to get another trial, and then we could we could hopefully find out more about all his like glowiness.
Yeah. One last thing, I guess you did bring up transparency. Just kind of jog my memory, if you will. What was the transparency quite like on this case? I know I've covered plenty of times your stories or read them on my own time or stuff where this comes up, and it is like I can't even keep track now. It used to seem like this was like a novel thing. To where like we just wouldn't have any sort of level of transparency to any of this stuff, especially sometimes even up into including like the defense itself not having for some reason certain access to certain things. Mm-hmm. So was there anything unique about the transparency or lack thereof with this one that I'm not recalling, or am I just kind of conflating it with probably a handful of other cases you've had where some oddness has occurred in such a way?
Oh no, that's a great question. Mm. Yeah, we should hit on that. Yeah, there's about 7 terabytes of data collected as evidence from this case, and an untold amount of evidence is classified. And Judge Cannon allowed the DOJ to do this. It's under the Classified Information Procedures Act. It's where even the discovery, if it's classified evidence, they don't have to give it to the defense team. Instead, they could write a little bullshit memo about what this classified evidence represents. And I got to imagine it's like FISA intercepts of him talking to Ukrainians. It's like evidence of him being in touch with intelligence assets overseas. Whether it would prove some kind of larger conspiracy or inside job, I don't know. But, the fact that Judge Cannon allowed it to stay classified is pretty troubling. I mean, she said in her order that, quote, this information could damage national security. I mean, that's crazy. And I don't even know what to say about that. Like, I can't blame people for speculating about inside jobs or all kinds of things when they put orders out like that. So,
and you're saying that they were allowing them to somewhat access the information, but essentially get summaries.
Yeah.
So which I'm just hearing you say that. I'm like, now, especially in light of some recent stuff, I'm like, what a system that would be rife for manipulation for basically whatever way you wanted, because essentially someone requests information and you can kind of manipulate it to do whatever you want, as we've seen with this, or for example, the text exchange back and forth or the claims thereof from the FBI with this latest Kirk thing. It's kind of like, I forgot my point with essentially like the reconstruction and this and that, or like the hemming and hawing from Kash Patel of like the defining of like, there was this note that was destroyed that was then relayed to us by the thing but we know of this because of our aggressive posture, and then but like your point being like once you've kind of playing this word game, you can get so far removed where you've caveated everything to such a degree, and you've said it in a way that people don't even realize it. And you've created an impression that is completely not true and has been essentially CYA'd throughout that verbal statement. And so we see that. So it's kind of like, my point being is you can misrepresent things to a crazy degree. We even got to the point where I think it was the Times, or I remember who specifically was reporting out that apparently even that text change that we got was quote unquote reconstructed, whatever the fuck that means. I mean, now that could be to give them the benefit of the doubt. That could just mean they essentially copied and pasted or transcribed, and they just maybe didn't use maybe a quite as accurate word as they should have, and it was just a transcribe type job. But reconstructed, I hear that and go, the fuck are you talking about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a long history of abuse of this Classified Information Procedures Act. It was originally enacted in like the 1980s. And again, it was intended to protect specific intelligence information collected overseas to like protect like undercover CIA operations. But after 9/11, it got expanded, and now the DOJ uses it pretty much any case where like an informant's used overseas. And some of the most infamous cases of this Classified Information Procedure Act include like the Pulse nightclub shooting. The information that the shooter's dad was an FBI informant, that was initially classified and hidden pursuant to the SEPA law. And I forget why exactly that information reached the day of light, but it was originally hidden under SEPA. Another big one is the Garland shooting, where this Muslim guy or a couple of Muslims got mad that they were holding a Draw the Prophet Muhammad contest in Garland. They go up and they're about to shoot up the place, but an undercover FBI agent had been trailing them. Local cops actually kill the shooter, and then they arrest the undercover FBI agent because they thought he was one of them. And this never would have seen the day of light, or a lot of it is still hidden pursuant to SEPA. The only reason we know about it is because the local cops actually detained him for a while, and that information got out there. So actually what's going on with that case, we don't know because it's classified. The last one I'll mention is the Iranian assassination plots from last year, where some guy was trying to hire undercover FBI agents as hitmen to take out Trump. An untold amount of information is also classified in that case. So it's abused at every case I've looked at.
Mm-hmm. All right, I guess let's move on to the latest from today. This is from BX. This is just the latest I've seen. She's put in quotes, 3 people were wounded. Sources say Dallas people are searching for a possible sniper and another shooter or shooters on top of buildings in the area, sources say. Shortly after 7 a.m., sources said one shooter was found shot on the roof of a nearby immigration attorney's office. What I'm talking about here is apparently there have been reports. This is from Gunther Eagleman, the quote tweet, so take that as far as you could take it. It's like multiple victims reported after shooting at ICE facility. I mean, I do think that probably did happen, but I'm just saying some of the details could be a little bit off. Just this is very, very new. But yeah, there was apparently a shooting in an ICE facility in Dallas, so we're there. I've literally just got a bunch of tags from you guys. Have not really been looking into it. I think most people don't know what's going on yet. I mean, I don't know, do you have anything, Ken? What more do you have to glean from this? I mean, I know I'm noticing patterns. Obviously, I have no idea what's going on here, but I've seen a lot of things lately that make me raise my eyes, and it's kind of fire hosing all at once. So I would very much hazard caution from everyone to not just jump to whatever narrative that, especially if it's the one you already fucking wanted to begin with. So, but yeah, thoughts, Ken?
The only thing I know is that ICE has confirmed that no law enforcement agents were shot. I don't know if he was aiming at law enforcement agents, but it was either just normal citizens or detainees that were shot. Then one of the shooter killed himself. And I see people are already jumping to conclusions like, oh, he was clearly aiming at ICE. This was an attack on ICE. I have no idea. It could have been anything. It could have been a cartel guy taking out his competition. I don't know. That's I guess we'll wait to see the facts as they come out. Maybe people should follow that Gunther Eagle. That's some like Indian guy.
No, he's like a white guy. He was one of the holdouts initially with the Epstein stuff that was like, this is where I draw the line. He was always kind of like a super slop Trump MAGA account. But
is
he
his
actually
name really Gunther Eagleman?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about the guy. I just know he's
that's a guy, dude.
I just know he's a despicable piece of shit. Just because I just think it's gross. Because especially he came out into this whole like I'm a dad and I have children and this and that, and like made a whole thing about how like this was his last, like he's not willing to do it. And then like I just thought it was particularly gross. So they then still ended up caving. And you're like, dude, you know it's gotten worse if you paid attention to the story, right? You're like, and especially where you like evoke your children and shit. You're like, dude, you're gross. You're a real gross human being. But anyways, that is. Side. Whereas I am, from digging more and more, I'm becoming more and more convinced that Donald Trump's a pedophile. But Gunther Eagleman, I don't know, he hears about the Epstein book and he goes, what are you talking about?
I don't think that's a real guy, man. There's nobody named Gunther Eagleman.
It can't be. It sounds like a made-up name. It sure does. But yeah, I guess we probably should be laughing. People will probably die. But yeah, we have no idea what's going on yet. I would hazard caution, and even then, don't accept the official narrative, because the official narrative is always never correct. And kind of on that note, I don't know if you've seen this. I don't plan on watching all of this, but we have gone through Magic Bullet phase, and I think we are now entering into John Doe 2 phase. Give me a second, damn it. StreamYard did the thing again. Let me bring that back up. But we have entered John Doe 2 phase once again, according to Candace. So let's hold out. I can't hazard enough. Never. I mean, like I will say, people, like, you can always, when you talk about these things, couch it in the like levels of uncertainty, and like always like be willing to question your priors, because especially with this thing, there are so many priors. Like even the prior that this is Tyler Robinson is a prior. Do we really have good reason to believe that? Like, for example, we've seen a video of him on a roof. We didn't even see him taking the shot. So I'm just saying, like, just kind of question everything, especially when you hear people say, sources say. Like, we got that one Dairy Queen thing from Candace. How the fuck did you get that? There's a lot of weird information that's been seeded out, but I do think, hey, It's worth mentioning. Candace is essentially claiming, or not claiming, well, yeah, she is claiming that she's talked to some people. Claiming. Yeah, let's go and play it. Oh, I don't have it up. I'm an idiot. Sorry.
Shooter on the roof. Remember? That started going viral. Remember?
Let me start that over, guys. My bad. Go ahead.
I then decided to try to track down the origin of a video that actually no press has been done on. It was the video of I assumed it was a student, and I think, we shouldn't make assumptions, who recorded the shooter on the roof. Remember? That started going viral. You remember the footage, and they're like, and there's a guy that's kind of speaking in the background. We can show you that footage right now. Let's take a look at that footage that we're referring to.
Get right up. Yeah. You think he'd already be in place? You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying? He just ran from, over, where's my finger? Whoa, from over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying.
Okay. So this footage proved very difficult to track down. And what I mean by that is it was very simple for me to find the account that published the video and made the video viral. And when I reached out to that individual, they were immediately responsive. And I said, hey, where'd you get this footage from? And the individual said to me, a friend of a friend's family member sent it. So I'm like, okay, you're telling me the chain is already twice removed. I said, do you know who took the video? And he said, no, I don't know who took the video. And when I asked the person who sent it to me to tell me who did, because I have all of these journalists, including yourself, reaching out to me, trying to get to the bottom of it, he just stopped answering me. I said, so your friend who sent you this video just stops answering you? And he then sends me a screenshot of a conversation that they're having on an app that I don't recognize, right? So we are prodding that, and he has been responsive, so I'm sure he'll tell me what app this is. And sure enough, the person says, well, there were two people actually who took that footage, which obviously isn't possible, but there are two people that were involved in taking that footage, and he sends him two numbers. And
all right, we'll go and cut through it. I don't want to watch the full 9 minutes, but essentially to cut through the noise here, there's some guy who seemed to be dodgy about not wanting to. It seemed to be very dodgy to even get down to who the fuck it was that she actually got this from. And to be fair, she explained that and seeded that level of uncertainty in the story as it's being put out, to be completely fair to Candace. So she's in no way saying she's buying all of this. She's saying the person that she talked to, she claimed some sort of, I'm assuming, maybe military, law enforcement, something like that. Just, I don't know, maybe to be fair, the guy, maybe just to make some assumptions to the benefit of the guy, maybe he just knows that, everyone's going to assume because, I was infantry for 8 years or something, they're going to think some glowy shit. Or maybe something like that, and so he'd rather stay out of it. It's a little fishy to me, so I kind of would like to know who the fuck this is and who's making these claims. I from the jump, when not from the jump, but when I saw that, I think it was shortly after, probably within hours, I was already thinking how weird it was. How did I already see that? It was within minutes, I feel like I was seeing that on the video roof of the guy. So it almost seems, in the distractions, type thing, you're like, this almost seems like seated, look over here, look over here. But we're having, apparently the person claimed that who they saw was wearing more tactical gear. Now, one thing I do want to push back on is it sounds like they're saying there's no way that could be the case. Well, judging by the outfit that I remember him wearing, wasn't he wearing darkish jeans and a black shirt is their claim?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And he had a black hat. And the claim was he had a face mask on, he was wearing tactical gear. And so that's why they're saying essentially the implication is it couldn't be the same person. All he would have to do is have some sort of mask. I know it sounds ridiculous, but he and I know they're trying to be he's military or something, so he would be good at identifying or whatever. But from a distance, someone with dark clothes on and a face mask, it's going to look tactical. You know what I mean? So I could totally see someone thinking that. So, but any thoughts just in this realm? I'm very much strongly caveat is don't take this for granted. We have no idea. Wait till we get more information. But just kind of the idea of, even just you should be questioning these priors. And I know, obviously, it can't help but draw parallels to things like John Doe 2.
I'm sorry, I didn't watch the Candace video. Who exactly is making that claim that they saw somebody in tactical gear? Is that the person who was filming?
Yes. Well, okay. I wasn't going to watch it. It sounded like you had already maybe watched it because you said Candace make the claim, because she did take a while to explain it. We can watch the whole thing, or I can send it to you to do later. It doesn't really matter. Essentially, she someone told me this was the guy, and then I had to talk to this guy, and then I had to call this guy. And essentially she's saying this, she's being very vague, she's not descriptive. Essentially, the person who made the claim that he was in tactical gear and a face mask is the person that she eventually got to after a crazy game of telephone of getting to a person. This was the person who supposedly took the video, that video of the guy on the roof that we all saw right pretty early. that he made the claim that what he saw was a guy with tactical gear, and he reported it to the police like immediately. So there should be theoretically some sort of 302 or something that comes out, or we could be dealing very much with like a Steve Vassar type situation, like on my show, where like he reported John Doe too, and he looked for the stuff later, and lo and behold, it wasn't there. But yeah, just obviously I didn't assume you didn't know if you'd looked into that or not, but I'd say, hey, at the very least, just a reminder, question everything.
Yeah, so I'm not going to put any stock in Candace's reporting. She's been so far out in left field on a number of cases. And this just reminds me exactly what she did after the Butler shooting, where this guy named Greg was by the AGR building before Thomas Crooks opened fire and almost hit Trump. And he says that he saw these local cops up in the window who were looking out at the crowd after the day. But he specified that, it's not like he saw them right when Crooks was about to take the shot. He just said he saw them earlier in the day. And Candace goes like, we need to find this Greg guy. I need to get her on my show. And eventually they did connect, and he talked to her off the record. And then she went on her show and like misrepresented what Greg said. And she actually said there were like feds in the building, which wasn't true. There were local cops. And Greg actually came out and said, like, what the hell, Candace? Like, first of all, we were off the record. Second of all, why wouldn't you just have me on and interview me? Specifically, I pulled up the tweet while you were talking. This is Greg from Butler. He says, Candace Owens is not a good person. After July 13th, she interviewed me. Everything was off the record as I was under an agreement for a few weeks. I told her I would come on her show when that was over. She lied to me and blasted everything out. I told her the next day, and even got a bunch of it wrong. So again, and she's doing the exact same thing here. It's like, why don't you have the person on that you were talking to for a one-on-one interview so we could actually see your sources? To me, it's very disingenuous. And yeah, she's got that photo from Dairy Queen. I don't think that's paying up at all. She claimed that the rifle was actually found like by a chicken coop.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen any evidence of that. She's just making these claims to go viral, and it's frankly disgusting.
Which just kind of was driving a little bit to kind of like seat a little caution as well with the because the claim here is kind of like almost implying a John Doe 2 thing, which I'm open to it. I'm completely open to it, but essentially, it's held up on that they supposedly this person claimed they were wearing tactical gear and a face mask, and so that somehow essentially makes it so it doesn't match the description of the other one. You're like, yeah, but it only is slightly off. It's kind of my point. If he's wearing dark clothing and a hat, how much harder would it be for him to have a face mask in his pocket or under his hat or whatever, and to have anticipated, I'm going to have to obscure my face at some point, pull on the face mask, run, take face mask off. Easy peasy. Like, so this idea that like, oh, it's a different person, not necessarily. You're like, oh, well, tactical thing, like he'd be able to tell he was in a jeans and a t-shirt. Not necessarily, just looks like dark clothing from, 100 yards. So just kind of, my point being is like, with that Greg situation too, kind of misrepresented things. We're getting this information mediated through Candace. So this is something to remind yourself over and over again when you're looking at these sort of things. That I do got to bring this up. Obviously, I got to say, like, I'm not going to make any strange claims, but I just got to say, that's my commentary here. Here's Sean McCarthy saying they think you're straight up retarded. And here's FBI Patel. This is from like 10 minutes ago from Patel. It's this morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, an individual fired multiple rounds at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility, killing one, wounding several others before taking his own life. FBI, DHS, ATF are on the ground with Dallas PT and state authorities. While the investigation is ongoing, an initial review of the evidence shows an ideological motive behind this attack. See photo below. One of the unspent shell casing recovered was engraved with the phrase anti-ICE. More updates will be forthcoming. These despicable, politically motivated attacks against law enforcement are not a one-off. We are only miles from Prairie Land, Texas, where just 2 months ago, an individual ambushed a separate ICE facility targeting their officers. It has to end, and the FBI, that might have been the Zizian thing, but I don't recall. Anyways, it has to end, and the FBI and our partners will lead these investigative efforts to see to it that those who target our law enforcement are pursued and brought to the fullest extent of justice. Thankfully, no law enforcement personnel were injured. Please pray for the injured and deceased. And this time, they at least, they reduced the characters so it's believable and all that, And they showed a picture. So there you go. Look, someone wrote with that didn't even look like an engraving. That literally looks like somebody wrote on it with a ballpoint pen. But whatever. I mean, maybe it is engraving. But there's one little thing that says anti-ice on this. So here you go. I don't know. I mean,
I'm
whatever.
just imagining like somebody on the 7th floor of like Quantico came up with this great idea like a year ago. Like, we got to start engraving the bullets, guys. It's the next best thing. Like, it's just, a little silly, hard to believe. I don't take that guy's word for anything.
I can't say anything but laugh. Okay, I guess whatever. Maybe there is a left-wing terror problem. They just really fucking love engraving their
yeah,
bullets.
Exactly.
Okay, I don't really know what to say to that because it is like I can't say they're wrong. But it does seem kind of ridiculous on its face. And I don't know if you've looked at this. Apparently, Lance Twiggs is missing. I'll check into that later. I mean, this is based on just some random accounts, so. We'll follow up with that later. I don't know if you've looked into that at all too, but I thought it was worthwhile. That like for one, I mean this whole thing is sketchy. I mean, you've seen the videos of the guy, and then Lance Twiggs talking just sounds like a normal dude. Like I don't know. To be fair, I guess like whatever. Maybe I'm being judgmental, but like I don't know. You look into these guys and it just seems fishy.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's vanished. I mean, he just isn't living at the apartment where everybody. Yeah. He is, which is perfectly reasonable because I'm sure he's subjected to all kinds of death threats. So, I wouldn't be staying at the same apartment if I was implicated in the assassination of this like beloved conservative figure either. So totally rational by Twiggs.
All right. Now I thought was a little bit creepy. I saw, did you see this thing? Apparently they were weirdly announcing that they were tracking devices at this thing. I don't know, it just felt like maybe I'm reading too much and stuff, felt like weird, creepy panopticon type stuff, but let's play a little bit of this.
Andrew Kolvitz, the executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show. Andrew, what would have Charlie thought about yesterday?
He would have been blown away. Tyler Boyer, who runs the C4 for us, shared a text chain from 2021. And he put in it, he said, "This is my vision." And it was a picture of stadiums full of people, because at Turning Point, we were sort of known for these big events, but Charlie was always dreaming bigger. And for those of us closest to him, we knew that his vision had just become reality. And it's tragic that it happened this way, but it was also beautiful for the country. And I know that Charlie would be marveling at the harvest. He would be so proud at us pointing to God and us holding vigils and praying and seeing the world's most powerful leaders coming to Phoenix to honor him and to lift up the name of Jesus. It was truly remarkable. I know Erica was blown away. And as she always told Charlie in private, this is not normal. There's nothing normal about Charlie Kirk's life. There's nothing normal about Charlie Kirk's death.
You spent so much time with him. How do you feel today?
If I'm being honest with you, Jesse, I feel like the last 11 days were a whirlwind. We went from shell-shocked to devastated, heartbroken, so many tears, to instantly thrown into this moment where we had to plan a stadium event for hundreds of thousands of people. And by the way, I'm going to break a little bit of news on your program, Jesse. Our partners that do sort of geotagging with devices, they told us that they tracked over 277,000 devices in the vicinity of State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Wow. 277,000. So that just gives you an idea of the scale of humanity out there. But I just want to give a hat tip and a major kudos to our team that pulled this off.
I just want to touch on that. I want to talk to you when I had you here, because I know you do dig into the weeds of some of these stories. And a lot of time we hear these sort of things, and some of us maybe get a little bit conspiratorial minded and don't really have a proper grip of like what that means, don't have things to compare it to. I'm sure it's many times you've brought up like geotagging or this or that. I know I'm just a tech moron, so like to what degree is this significant? I know a little peon brained guy like me, when it comes to tech, hear this and I get spooked out and I go, I think Peter Thiel's trying to get my butthole. But like, is this odd? Should we be concerned that this is a thing, or is this just people getting too overly concerned? Is it just normal tech stuff that people can do, no big deal, or are people puckering up their butthole for no reason?
It's certainly like it's not a sophisticated thing for people to do, just to geofence something and see how many devices were there. It is strange that they would do that and announce it. Like if you go to a Charlie Kirk event, now you're subject to domestic surveillance. So yeah, it is troubling, but at the same time, it's not like some super sophisticated method. The government classified that event as like this, I forget exactly what the acronym is, but it's a major national security event, which is the same thing that they did for the inauguration. And that means not only does like Secret Service and local law enforcement and federal law enforcement protect it, but they also had the military there for extra security. So it was all hands on deck. And yeah, I'm sure they did do some. They probably know the identity of every single device and person that was there. It's just bizarre to admit that out loud, but yeah. No.
And I guess kind of in this vein, did you ever look into that story? I actually bookmarked it, and I just weirdly feel like it disappeared, and I can't find it now. So I don't know if maybe it's one of those stories that just kind of disappeared because it didn't really have legs, or who knows, maybe something spookier happened to it. But I saw a couple of people cover the story of, I want to say it was somewhere between a dozen and 2 dozen supposedly of Israeli specific phones that were supposedly geotagged or whatever fucking nerd shit to the vicinity of the Kirk shooting, like right there. And I forget where the specific claim comes from, but apparently, there's sources. I think it was a sources say type story. Yeah. That there were people in the White House that were knew this and were kind of fucking terrified, frankly. Now, to me, I hear that and I hear a huge crowd, 12-ish, maybe what was in the teens, I think something maybe, I'm like, is that abnormal? I don't know. I mean, hell, judging by the crew he rolls with, that's probably just his production staff. You know what I mean? I don't know. Do you have any sort of feel for that, if that's significant or what? I mean, because it seemed like people were acting like it was, but less than 20, I think, people in a probably crowd of thousands. I'm like, in a pretty Israeli-friendly crowd, I don't know. It doesn't seem too crazy to me.
Yeah, well, that story came from Mel K. Or Mel, the crazy village lady, I think is her Twitter handle. And she got that information from somebody in the White House who obviously felt that it was significant enough to tell her, and they wanted to get the information out there. I do believe, Mel, that somebody in the White House told her that. She seems like an honest lady.
I like her. Yeah.
I like her a lot, but I'm sorry, that's just not how I do investigative journalism. Real investigative journalism is you get a tip and then you work to corroborate it. You get documentation, you talk to people, you get more than one anonymous source. And so I believe that somebody told her this, but the significance is unclear. And there's we can't really do anything with the information. She just, put it out here, an anonymous tip. Okay, I guess maybe somebody who knows more might be able to come out. Hopefully there's some whistleblowers if there's anything there. But at this point, what can you say about it?
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to the next topic. I kind of want to talk to you a little bit just kind of generally about 9/11. I know you've done a lot of talking on it, but kind of, I guess, me and you, I know we talked before. You haven't watched it yet. It's actually, there's only been one episode come out. I don't know how many there's supposed to be, but Tucker Carlson just dropped the first. And I think if you're a payer, you can watch the whole thing, but it's going to come out weekly, of his 9/11 series, which obviously was supposed to come out, or it was supposed to come out right around 9/11. I think it got delayed. And that probably would have been a pretty big damn deal if there was a little bit more of a chill news cycle at that time, but we had a lot going on, imprinted a whole new date into the minds of Americans, and a lot of people, I think, have by extension started to forget the 9/11 a little bit. So it just, I don't know, maybe this is just, the conspiracy-minded part of me, you're reading into that, but at the very least, there's some commentary to be had that's interesting, that this could have been a nuke in the political discourse. But I don't know what degree it's going to really have that. But he did drop one. I watched it. I mean, I wasn't really paying attention too well. I think maybe I might try to hit up Adam Fitzgerald or somebody, maybe have him come on and we can talk about the significance of this stuff and if anything new's come out or something along those lines. But I know you've covered it a lot. I figured at least just kind of let people know that's out there. And we also have a really fun quote to watch after we dig into this a little bit. But I guess according to this from Gen X Girl, from the stuff that's been released in this, is NSA refused to share signals intelligence with CIA Bin Laden unit, but shared with Israeli and Saudi unit. NSA files, and this is stuff supposedly revealed in here, NSA files were never researched by 9/11 Commission. The 5 dancing Israelis were spying. Israeli art students lived near the 9/11 attackers and were tracking them. Israeli acknowledged the operations and issued formal apology for not sharing info with U.S. And the CIA Bin Laden unit, not a single piece of info from the Israelis is worth anything. So someone tell this to the 360-plus Israeli-paid lobby members of Congress who screech about Israel providing us with valuable info. And I did think it was kind of interesting. Here's our boy, Boltzmann Booty, his commentary on it. It says, "You're telling me Tucker Carlson absolves the CIA of responsibility for 9/11? The Tucker Carlson, our guy, the voice of the people, Tucker. He's telling you dastardly Israel tricked the CIA? That doesn't sound like the fearless truth teller I've grown to trust with my life." Which is interesting. I've said before, like, I know a lot of people point out he's anti-Israel. I think there's something, Fuentes hit it pretty well in the head a while ago on one of his things where, like, obviously we don't know, but if you are to take the CIA angle, it's like, well, the CIA for a while has been loudly announcing that they've taken the perspective when it comes to foreign policy. They want to focus on China and allow Israel to handle its own problems and not get bogged down in Israel. So everyone accredits this to him being some truth teller. Perhaps. I mean, he is telling the truth. So, while he's doing that, I'm going to go rah-rah, but I'm also not going to be a retard. So I don't know. You're digging into the 9/11. You're more knowledgeable in 9/11 than I am, but so I don't know. It seems like the impression that some people are getting is he's seemingly trying to throw Israel under the bus here, which I'm totally open to throwing Israel under the bus for things. They do a lot of shitty shit. So, but I'm also like, I don't know. I'm torn. Like, I have a feeling that the CIA probably had their hands dirty too. But just kind of thoughts generally. I mean, you can go wherever you want. I know you haven't watched it, but just your thoughts on 9/11 and just kind of that. I don't know. Maybe even just reflect on kind of the situation and what we got going on right now. Because it is weird, I think, even just a commentary on how we remember 9/11 now,
Yeah, I'm really interested in watching that video. I'll probably do that this afternoon. I'm not too familiar with that aspect of the story. All my reporting has been highly damning to the CIA. And we've actually got a story that Jose Nito is publishing today about a recent bombshell that came out earlier this month about a Saudi intelligence asset who was over in the U.S., and he was actually the handler for 2 of the hijackers who flew into the Pentagon, if we're going to believe that story. But he was the handler for 2 of the hijackers in San Diego, and these people were allowed into the country by the CIA, and the CIA told the FBI about them because the CIA wanted to recruit them as informants. And we know this because FBI agents have actually testified to this effect in Guantanamo Bay and those legal proceedings down there. So that information has been public for a couple of years now. The most recent bombshell is this Saudi intelligence asset, their handler. After 9/11, he goes to the UK where he's detained by UK authorities, and they have a lot of damning information. Like, he threw parties for the hijackers. He was pretty much escorting them everywhere, handling every facet of their life. And they even got tapes of the UK police interviewing this al-Bayami guy, and they pretty much had this big case against him, but they couldn't charge him because it was an American crime. So they called the DOJ to extradite him back to America. They briefed the DOJ, and at the end of the phone call, the DOJ says, like, "Thanks, but we're not going to take this case. Goodbye." And apparently, like, the UK cops were absolutely shocked. Like, usually when they have these kind of calls with the DOJ, they'll at least say, like, "Oh, we're going to take this information under consideration and get back to you in a couple days." But here it was just like, "No, thank you, goodbye." And apparently this UK cop who was involved in this case has been holding on to the story for like 20 some years until a reporter over there finally found his identity in court documents. And as soon as she reached out to him, he immediately spilled all the beans. So I think it's in like the UK Express bombshell story. Now, this al-Bayami guy is still in Saudi Arabia. He was never apprehended or anything. Key player in the 9/11 attacks. And yeah, we're going to have that up in Headline USA this afternoon.
Well, hell yeah. Speaking of this afternoon, actually, if you were available, well, I'll hit you up later, but I'm just mentioning it now while I'm thinking of it. I actually, Nick Bryant just messaged me and he's not feeling well. So if you're available, I might actually get you in tonight while we still have it fresh in our mind if you are. So for the Ralph thing, like we mentioned, because I'll have to reschedule Nick Bryant to next week.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, cool. There you go. There you go. You guys heard it here. You'll get a Routh episode tonight instead of Nick Bryant. We'll probably have Nick Bryant next week. But anyways, let's get into this last fire clip from Tucker, which is this sort of stuff where I go, hey, I don't know. I always go back and forth whether he's a real boy or not. I mean, I don't know. I want him to be a real boy, but I think he's not. But exactly, that's kind of where I am on my wishful thinking. But the reality part of me says otherwise. But we have a pretty dope, clip from him that I figured we'd watch. And then after that, I'll probably bid you adieu because we'll probably go over to the foreign policy portion after that because this is kind of the perfect little segue. But he goes mega bass, and it kind of ties into a lot of the stuff we've been talking about. But let's go ahead and play it.
Can't. I mean, BB's running around. This
is a fact. I'm not guessing about this because I talked to people he said it to, is running around the Middle East, his region, and his own country and telling people point blank, just stating it, I control the United States. I control Donald Trump. He's saying that. And again, I'm not guessing at all. That's a fact. And I dare them to say that's not true because it is true and they know it's true. So I'm an American. How do you think it makes me feel? Even if I didn't vote for Trump, which I did vote, I campaigned for Trump, but even if it was Joe Biden, I'm an American. You can't treat, it's too humiliating. I can't handle that. And I shouldn't have to put up with that. This is a country of 9 million people. I'm not even attacking the country. I'm attacking my leaders who are allowing my nation of 350 million people to be forced into doing things that are bad for me and my children because of some other country. Like, that is a violation of the most basic arrangement we have with our leaders, which is represent us, please, at least most of the time, and they're not. And there's an ongoing humiliation ritual designed to make us all crazy, designed to turn us into haters. I'm not gonna give them the satisfaction of becoming what they call me. I'm not a hater, and I'm never gonna become one. But I will never accept this. I shouldn't have to accept it. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I have no unexpressed views. I'm not hiding anything. I say exactly what I think all the time. This is wrong. And if it's not wrong, tell me how it's not wrong. Why don't you stop attacking me and my trying to get family members fired, which they never stop doing? Why don't you instead tell me how you disagree with me? But they can't because they don't actually have an argument. There's no way to justify controlling the U.S. government for the purposes of another country's, whatever their plan is, expansion. There's no way to justify that. And so they just scream at you and call you names. And I guess I'm just blessed because I don't believe that about myself. So that doesn't hurt me. You know, if they said, well, you've gained 10 pounds, you might hurt my feelings. But calling me a bigot doesn't hurt my feelings because I know that I'm not.
Any thoughts on that before we let you go? I just thought it was a pretty sick clip to figure to end it on. And so, but it's any thoughts in that vein? I mean, it is like it is always nice when we do see something like that from Tucker. He does have his base moments.
Yeah, good for him. Although I will say it seems like he's gaslighting the public to be like, oh, my speech at Charlie Kirk's, that wasn't a reference to Israel at all. It's like, I think in the full interview with Glenn Greenwald, he's like, the only people who think that I was talking about Israel are the hardcore Zionists or the anti-Semites. Like, I'm neither, but immediately when you're talking about guys eating hummus and conspiring to kill Jesus, obviously that's the Jews. So, like, good for him for kind of bringing this stuff up, but like, don't tell me that that's not what you were hinting at. Come on, dude. We're not that.
I don't know. I'm torn. I actually, at first, when I first heard it, I was like, I don't know. I mean, but it was like, because it is just the standard story of Christ and is like, he's religious. So it is like, I could see why someone would bring it up. But it is also like, I'm not going to lie, my head went there for a minute. But I was like, maybe I'm just racist.
I guess maybe I am too, because that's immediately where I think it's pretty obvious. It's kind of like when our RFK last year, he had this tweet where he like it said 1488, like we're 1488 days away, and like guys like Dave Smith were like, oh, he wasn't talking about like the Nazi symbol. It's like obviously he was, dude. You don't have to defend him on every little thing. And it turned out that yes, really, like some crazy shit poster was controlling RFK's Twitter account, and like there was like responding to Tim Dillon, like, I'm happy you're not gay anymore. And like, clearly the 1488 is intentional. So like I was right on that. And I'm telling you that Tucker did that on purpose to cause a shitstorm.
I mean, good for him. I mean, I guess not good for him. It was a funeral. So I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, it's not as tasteless as like Trump dancing and like making political announcements and
the Goebbels speech
or the fireworks, the pyrotechnics, like the whole
yeah, that's
thing was
weird.
kind of a clown show.
Yeah, I mean, I joke about a lot of people get upset about the Goebbels thing with Miller. I actually kind of saw it. Like, I mean, I get that it was a standard political speech, but I was like, I get where people are getting it. Like, the joke I made in the show was kind of like that episode from The Office where they like teach Dwight how to make a speech. Like, that's what it felt like. Like Stephen Miller was some autist, and someone was like, just say loud. Like really, like study these speeches. Like use this sort of language, like loud noises, pound the podium.
Nice, yeah.
like it did feel like that. And really, I mean, it was frankly. I mean, I know we point out like maybe he was J-posting a little bit, but if you do compare it, frankly, I found a lot of these people really gross. Like the tone that they were taking, like making it a battle cry. And it's like, I mean, especially considering the wife did otherwise. So it's like, did no one even think to like maybe up channel or figure out like, hey, what is the vibe she's going for? Because it's like, I don't know. That is I feel like a family affair. And if they aren't, it'd be one thing if they do want to go full on war, you know, if you wanted to come to her and like, and that was, for example, like what people, you could believe Charlie's legacy or what he thought. That'd be one thing. But like to do like, I don't know, it just seems bizarre. This whole like, some of them almost took it like as a time for a battle cry when I don't think that's what he would have really wanted. And even then, it was probably at least up to interpretation whether that's what the family wanted. So you would think that you'd like, I don't know, it just felt gross to me and weird.
I mean, they had voter registration tables there, for Christ's sake. Like, what else can you say about that?
Yeah, but I'll let you go, Ken. We'll move on to the foreign policy portion of it, and we'll talk tonight. We'll hit you up later, talk scheduling or something.
All right, cool. Yeah, talk to you tonight.
But yeah, let people know where they can find you at, and I'll let you out of here. I'm sure you got plenty of stories to write with the brutal churning of news these days.
Yeah, headlineusa.com at JD_cashless. Look up Jose Nino too. He's got that story on the 9/11 latest bombshell. So we'll have that out for you this afternoon. And yeah, thanks again.
Hell yeah, thanks for joining me. And we'll have Kyle on tomorrow. But yeah, I'll see you, bud. See you tonight.
Take care.
Bye. All right, let's get into some foreign policy. Let's check the chats. Who else we got in here? It's been a minute. Comment says BB literally just quoted Goebbels in one of his speech about not killing Charlie Kirk. If you find that, tag me. I'd be interested to see it. Good morning, Marty McFly. Good morning, Marna Max. Says Trump's such a kid diddler, just like the rest of them. I agree with you. Good morning, Bug Fights. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Nevsky. Says Tucker's a pro. He knows how to get the point across without scaring the normies. Yep. Who else we got here? Say our good morning. Say morning to you, Bobo. Good morning, Bobo. Good morning. Good morning, Noname. So feds are shooting immigrants for false flags, and Elon might be using them at Alligator Alcatraz as lab rats for Neuralink. Yeah, probably. I haven't looked into that quite enough. Obviously, this is very new information, but I'd be unsurprised. Mama says, didn't they write on the bombs that went to Japan? I think they did. I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. They were definitely doing it over, wasn't it like, yeah, for a while they're over in Gaza. Remember the politicians were signing the bombs there? That shit was wild. Good morning, Shai Won says, isn't writing messages of ammo a long-standing military thing? Oh, okay. You guys are talking about, I don't know about ammo. I've never heard of that. I mean, like ammo, like the individual ammo pieces, but like bombs, like we were just talking about perhaps. Yeah, I guess so. Good morning, Boomer Sooner. Good morning, Wise Elk. Who else we got in here? There's a bunch of y'all in here. Good morning, Dracul Kotan. I don't think I said that right. Saying they're tracking 200,000 plus phones, but it takes them 2 days to find one person at a 3,000 person event. Good morning, Tom33. Good morning. All right, I think I've gone far. Oh, hey, what's up, Conrail? He says, also, if you look at Kirk's interview with Megyn Kelly, you're going to tell me that he wasn't receiving threats from Israeli backers. Oh, he was, for sure. At least I think so, probably. Good morning, John Black. He says, I initial all my FMJs, all 2,200 of them, all 1,488 of them. Let me see. Conrail says, if I may give a correction to Ken, you told me the other day that Bill Ackman disproved Maximum Thal story about his meeting, the private meeting with Kirk. Okay, well, I mean, he's not here anymore, so I don't know the specific, so he can't really defend himself, so you'll have to hit him up on Twitter. I don't know what specific claim he made. All right, let's get to the foreign policy, and then I think it might be an early day today. It might be it's a rare occasion around here. Usually I ramble far too long. I think guests keep me a little bit on topic. But yeah, let's check in to kind of add to the points of what we were just talking about Trump being a bitch, being Israel's little puppet. Let's go ahead and play this.
The day after in Gaza to stabilize the land. And we need a political perspective. And this is why we took this decision on recognition.
Well, I have to say that I'm on the side of Israel. I've been on the side of Israel really my whole life. And we are going to get a solution. And it's going to be a solution, hopefully, that's good for everybody. But it's time to stop. We're going to have that very important meeting. I think the meeting we have coming up in the next hour is going to be one of the most important meetings that we'll have here. We've had some important meetings.
All right, the only point of that I know is a little bit, little shitty, just like the one little line. But hey, just I'm on the side of Israel. I've been on the side of Israel really my whole life. We know. And even then on the Russia-Ukraine side of things, even hey, we were told we were going to get something there. We're going to end that war. Hey, at least hey, if Kamala gets in, we're going to go into World War III. Well, here is Trump literally encouraging Ukraine now, so he's completely done a 180, and it's been funny reading the comment sections of these, all the stupid fucking boomer MAGA people going, oh, this is odd, but I see what you're doing. I see the DHS. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. President Trump claimed on Tuesday that Ukraine could retake all the territory Russian forces have captured since the February 2022 invasion and may be able to go further, suggesting he's willing to back the idea of a Ukrainian invasion of Russia. After getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine/Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form, the president said in a long post on Truth Social. With time, patience, and the financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the original borders where this war started is very much an option. Why not? Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win, the president added. Trump said that Russia looked like a paper tiger and that Ukraine was getting better. His comments reflect the opinion of a special envoy for Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, who recently claimed the U.S. could kick Russia's ass, insisted Ukraine could win the war despite Russia's continued gains in eastern Ukraine and its clear manpower advantage. Trump said in his post that Ukraine could be able to take back their country in its original form, and who knows, maybe even go further than that. The president also claimed that Russia and Putin were in big economic trouble, though there was no sign that threats of new U.S. sanctions or tariffs will have any impact on the war. In any event, I wish both countries well. We will continue to supply weapons to NATO for NATO to do what they want with them. Good luck to all, the president said at the conclusion of the post. Now, the comment talking about the weapons to NATO refers to the new initiative under which U.S. allies are providing the funds for U.S. weapons that will be shipped to Ukraine. Reuters reported last week the Trump administration approved the first weapons packages that will be drawn from U.S. military stockpiles under the initiative known as the Prioritize Ukraine Requirements List. So essentially, they're just kind of, it was no longer directly coming from us and paid for by us. Now it's paid for by NATO, but directly coming from us. So slightly better. So, and then we also have Trump telling NATO they should shoot down Russian aircraft that enter their airspace. Not at all dangerous. So President Trump said on Tuesday that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft that enter their airspace. Comments that came as tensions are soaring between Moscow and the Western Military Airspace Alliance in Eastern Europe. The president made the comments when meeting with Zelensky on the sidelines of the UN Assembly in New York City. Yes, I do, Trump said when he asked if NATO would should shoot down Russian aircraft to enter its airspace. I know I'm a short guy, so it's like I shouldn't say it, but it does look fucking funny seeing Zelensky next to Trump. Is that what I look like next to people? Please don't say yes. His comment came on the same day that NATO held Article 4 talks over allegations that Estonia from Estonia that Russian jets had for 12 minutes entered the airspace of Vindaloo, an uninhabited island in the Gulf of Finland that belongs to Estonia and is located approximately 15 miles north of the country's coast. Essentially, this was like basically not a big deal. This at most may have been like a tiny border infringement to get down to the nitty-gritty of this, and we already have Trump using this excuse to kind of, essentially imply, hey, if this happens again, you should shoot them down. Great idea. That wouldn't devolve into anything at all, right? On the Iran front, looks like those talks probably aren't going to be going anywhere. Khamenei's rejected them because of the zero enrichment demand. So Ali Khamenei on Tuesday rejected the idea of negotiations with the U.S., citing the Trump administration's demands for Tehran to give up nuclear enrichment and calls for limits on Iran's ballistic missiles. Now the U.S. president, says enrichment must be terminated, but just a few days ago, one of their officials stated that Iran should not even possess medium-range or short-range missiles, meaning that Iran's hands should be so tied that if they were attacked, it could not even respond to the U.S. bases, Khamenei said in televised speech, according to his website. So yeah, looks like we're not getting those talks, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. I thought this story was particularly interesting. Now we've got anti-Hamas militias sprouting up in Gaza, and they have dubious connections. So let's go through this. So Israeli forces are supporting armed Palestinian groups that are opposed to Hamas. The groups have established 2 areas outside Hamas's control. One of the militias, Abu Shabab, is tied to Islamic State. The new Palestinian armed militia, Strike Force Against Terror, announced it is prepared for 300 to 400 people to live in a neighborhood of Khan Yunis under its control. Israel helps us expand. The goal is the same, that people live under our protection in agreement with our neighbors, a commander in the militia explained. Issam al-Astal, the leader of Safat, said his group is committed to keeping Hamas from having a presence in the camp. Whoever lives under Hamas's oppression, come to us, al-Astal told the Times of Israel. Al-Astal says neighborhoods currently powered with solar panels, but Israel will soon allow electricity and water in the camp. Most Palestinians in Gaza do not have access to water, to power and clean water. The SFAT-run neighborhood is the second Palestinian militia to establish control over a region with the assistance of Israel. So essentially they have these militias that are taking over certain areas, and they're working in assistance with Israel, and there's an anti-Hamas. So, okay, Yasser Abu Shabab, leader of the Popular Forces, is what they called it. Seems a little bit like cheating if you call it the Popular Forces. Controls an area of Rafah. In June, former Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman accused Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of arming Abu Shabab's group and that it was linked to ISIS. And we've always in the conspiratorial realms as ISIS is basically glowies. So here you go. Looks like we've got ISIS-ish sort of groups. Apparently the idea is like some of these were, so listen, the Israeli leader confirmed the IDF was supporting the ISIS-linked group, but argued the policy would save the lives of Israeli soldiers. So these militias have weird ISIS links, essentially. Some high-ranking members of the Abu Shabab gang, I keep saying Abu Shabab gang, have also been accused of fighting alongside ISIS, such as Issam Nabahin, who is alleged to have been active with the infamous terror group in the Sinai before returning to Gaza. Kornianet, the group's deputy leader, Ghassan al-Diani, was involved in the 2000 abduction of IDF soldier Gilad Shalit and is the brother of an ISIS operative killed by Hamas. A senior leader of the Popular Forces told the Times of Israel the SFAT is part of the same organization and is attempting to set up a continuous belt stretching from Khan Yunis to Rafah. We are all one, the commander said. So we are getting like, it's like literally we're seeing like essentially like Gladio, like a localized Gladio going on here is what it feels like. And then we also have the flotilla is under attack. That started last night. So let's see what the latest is. Supposedly I'd seen something about one being destroyed. So we'll check out the latest updates. It's over on Al Jazeera. This is live. Global Samud Fadilla reports explosions as drones fly overhead. So the Global Samud Flotilla has reported explosions in communications jamming as drones hovered overhead early on Wednesday morning. Israel has promised to stop the Gaza-bound flotilla, claimed the vessels are trying to breach a lawful naval blockade. 2 hours ago, let's see if I can find the attacks from last night. Drone attacks. All right, flotilla boats to Gaza struck with explosives, chemical agents, and communications jamming. Boats from the global Samud flotilla have come under massive attack by at least 15 drones. The drones started carrying out recon work, collecting info above the fleet 5 hours before the attack. Then we began receiving news about attacks happening on several boats using explosive material. The attacks seem to have consisted of sound bombs that affected the sails of some of the boats. We've also received information about chemical substances being dropped by some drones over some boats. Until now, we don't have any reports of injuries. Drones were hovering over one of the main boats in the flotilla that was previously targeted in Tunisia, the Alma. This vessel is one of the main ships to support other boats in the fleet and is carrying several public figures, such as Mandela Mandela, the grandson of Nelson Mandela, and Greta Thunberg, the well-known activist. This time, the Alma was not directly targeted by bombs or substances, but was victim to communications jamming. The flotilla's organizers have accused Israel of being behind this attack, especially as Israel's foreign minister threatened to stop his fleet from reaching Gaza, where they are trying to break the siege and create a corridor to deliver aid to people in Gaza. At the same time, the organizers confirmed this fleet is nonviolent and solely humanitarian. Okay, well, I'd seen reporting last night that they were destroyed, so that's good that none of these are actually destroyed. Looks like that everyone's fine, it seems like, so, but they are attacking this stuff, so, and it looks like they're done for now. This was 6 hours ago, so... okay, they're all still okay. I was a little concerned that we were going to be dealing with some dead people. Thankfully, they are all right. And then let's get into the last story. I didn't mean to exit out of that. Oopsie whoopsies. Here we go. And then follow up on the story about the Lebanon killing and the citizens and whether or not they were. Apparently they weren't, but they were seeking U.S. citizenship. One of them was... and their family was from the U.S. But either way, this still was in Lebanon, a father and his 3 children murdered by the state of Israel. Why? I don't know. You read the story, and everyone in their family claims he had nothing to do with the terrorist organization, Hezbollah. And keep in mind, this is in Lebanon, where Hezbollah is, from my understanding, is basically ubiquitous. It's like damn near, essentially, like seen as their their national. Kind of like the military. Technically, I think the government probably has their own separate military, if I had to guess. I don't really know, but it's a local militia that just kind of is in that area. I think it actually sprouted up, ironically, to defend itself from attacks of Israel. Because, when Israel and the British, kind of a lot of those people moved into the area, they weren't really nations quite like they are now. So a lot of these things sprouted up that weren't quite along nation lines. From my understanding, the people there's sensibilities were a lot different than ours. They're much more family, tribes, stuff like that, as opposed to landlines type stuff. So this is why sometimes you do see things like Hezbollah, and they're like, oh, this is just some terrorist organization. And we have this struggle session going on in Lebanon, trying to get them to create essentially get them to get rid of Hezbollah, essentially creating a civil war. It's this is what you're doing. Now, these people aren't even claiming they were part of Hezbollah, but frankly, even if they were, the idea that they could just kind of at will just murder people in another country is kind of bizarre. But this is what they've been doing over and over again. Here is a photo of the mother of these children who was harmed in the attack, who survived. So, yeah. Pretty fucked up shit, but that's the state of Israel for you. Let's roll with the chat, see what you guys got to say, and then I don't know. What do you think? Should I add in? I guess I could add in the Elon story. I kind of wanted to focus in on them more. Maybe we can read it today. Let's find that Elon story. Maybe I can finish on that. The Elon getting diddled by his daddy story. Give me a second. I'll hunt that down. And then I'll go through the chat with you guys. Found it. Okay, cool. All right, let's check into the chat, and then I guess I will probably read the Musk story to you guys, so we can kind of go through it all together. Let me see what you guys got to say. Justin Valentine's, good morning. Says, I told you the roommate would disappear into witness protection, and now Lance is missing. So yeah, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that for sure. Bobo says, get Danny Jokes to come on here. He said he would have done it before in the past and does a call-in show as well. Yeah, I'm open. You're talking about Already Dead. So, because I need another guest for this coming week. We had Radix on last night. It was a really great episode. I enjoyed it. Finally got calls going, and that was really cool. The like actual calls. We have like a call-in number and everything now. We're all, and it works. We don't have to do that stupid thing when we started Already Dead where we had to be like the Google Voice number where we could only talk to me and like, you know, everyone else could hear you, but we couldn't talk. Yeah, so we don't have to deal with that anymore. But yeah, I'd definitely be open to get him on it. So that's when it comes to guests and stuff. A lot of times it comes down to you guys, especially the big ones. So I don't know if Danny would be able to come on. I'd love to have him on. He's a great guest. But yeah, let me see. Lance is also now likely $100,000 wealthier, says Justin Valentine. Yeah, what was the $100,000 reward? Was the government offered that or something? I forget whoever offered the $100,000. And the million was from Ackman. Although the claim is that the family said they weren't going to claim the money from Ackman, but I mean you could easily say that and not do it. So. Drakult Okan says, I don't even think Trump even knows what the fuck he's doing. Yeah, there's some wild shit out there. I saw, what was it the other day? I saw him just riffing on something the other day. It was like this supposed treaty that he supposedly, helped arrange. But in reality, ironically, I forget which world leaders they were. It was some shit. Was it China and India? No, I don't know. There was some sort of thing recently that he claims credit for stopping, and both the world leaders were like, I don't know what he's talking about. He had nothing to do with this. And he's still, even then, I think it must have been like some clip of the UN. He was like just rambling about how he set this all up and this and that. And you're like, meanwhile, it's all just not a thing that happened. So I don't know. It's just that very much is him for sure. Shy Yuan says Joker engraves bullets in movie Full Metal Jacket. Oh, okay. But maybe they do that, but I mean, like, that wasn't a thing I'm aware of, that it was like some sort of, big military culture thing. So, Zelensky's a coke snorting gay Jude terrorist, is Wisebell. Yes. Justin Valentine. Meanwhile, their women folk are being stabbed in Charlotte, North Carolina. What are they supposed to be fighting for? NATO martyrdom? Yeah. Good morning, Bug Fight. Says nigga what? Can I say nigga on here? You can say the other word on here too. Well, actually not on here because you're commenting on YouTube. You can't say it there. They'll remove it. But you can say it in the real world because you can say words. That's great. The people shot in Dallas were detainees per Fox News, says Justin Valentine. Yeah. Okay. How convenient. Oh no. Just a few brownies. No skin off the Fed's back. So. Let me see what else we got in here. Bobo says 57 people and only 26 likes. Yeah, bump those likes up, people. And then we'll here in a minute we'll get into reading how Elon's daddy be out diddling. Tale as old as time with these weird dynastic, intergenerational families. So let me see. Ooh, good morning, Emily Lawrence. Has heard that Charlie was into pyrotechnics. I don't know. Yeah, it's what he wanted. He wanted a WWE show at the end. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he did. Whatever. Good morning, Tower Gang. Says good noon, dumpers. So, yep. Good morning, Nohablo. Says Ice Shooter today. Apparently wrote shell casings as well. Is this a new PSYOP signature? Sure feels that way, right? Good morning, John Doe. Good morning. Good morning, Chekoho. Adam Fitzgerald already did video on Tucker's reporting. Yeah, I actually have it saved in my watch later, so I'll watch that later. Yeah. Who else? What's up, Junkie Jeff? Good morning. Donut for already dead guests next week. Yeah, I've actually never had a conversation with Donut, so I guess I'd be open to it. I mean, not against the idea for sure. Good morning, everybody. Junkie Jeff said I would have been out here, but I spent the last 3 hours cleaning a shed for all my woodwork shit. Well, good. You can always come back to this and catch the replay. No big whoop. Obviously, I prefer if you show up for it live. It gives me a nice little algo boost, but no big whoop. Focus on yo shit. Damn it! Give me a second. I gotta find a better. I went to go find the dad one. It was New York Times. I had it saved somewhere else. I thought I had it. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find the Errol Musk one, because I'm trying to look for the one that's not New York Times, because I don't want the... Sorry, I should have had this ready. I didn't think I'd be done so early today. See if I can find the article, the one that's not from the New York Times. Rolling Stone. Okay, here you go. That'll probably work. I don't think Rolling Stone does paywall, or do they? Okay, we're good. Let me think. Let me see. Rolling Stone. Okay, we're good. Yeah, Rolling Stone isn't paywall. Let's go with that. Elon Musk, estranged father, accused of child sex abuse. Let's go ahead and get into that. This is over by John Blistein. Obviously, I think the original reporting comes from New York Times, but I'm not doing the paywall thing. So Elon Musk's estranged father, Errol Musk, is facing several allegations of child sex abuse involving 5 of his children and stepchildren, according to a New York Times investigation. The allegations against Errol, 79, were detailed in police reports, court records, personal letters, and interviews with family members and social workers. The alleged incidents occurred in South Africa, where Errol lives, and California. Errol, who has not been charged with or convicted of any crimes, denied the allegations against him. He told the Times that the reports are false and nonsense to the extreme. He suggested that the family members were putting the children up to say false things to get money from Elon. Several allegations in the story center around a former stepdaughter from Errol's marriage to Heidi Marie Baizudenhout, his third wife. The earliest alleged incident occurred in 1993 when the stepdaughter from Baizudenhout's first marriage was 4 years old. Errol allegedly placed her on a row of trash cans at the family's house in Pretoria, South Africa, and touched her. The stepdaughter told her aunt about the alleged incident, and the aunt and other relatives reported it to the authorities. An investigation was opened, but the charges were withdrawn as part of a divorce settlement with Errol. Baizudenhout and Errol would marry and divorce twice. Errol claimed that following his divorce, a judge granted him custody of his daughter with Baizudenhout, and 2 judges rejected the stepdaughter's abuse allegations. But the Times could not find court records or judges capable of verifying Errol's claim. Around 99, Errol and Baizudenhout remarried. So I guess you can only assume it wasn't that big of a deal to her. I mean, it could just mean she's evil too. But in 2002, they traveled to California to visit Elon, Errol's oldest child from his first marriage, to May Haldeman, who bought them a $2 million house in Malibu. During their stay, according to family members and personal notes, the stepdaughter, by then 14, walked in on Errol in her room, allegedly sniffing her dirty underwear. The police were called and a complaint was filed with Child Protective Services in L.A. A spokesperson for the agency declined to comment to the Times, and LAPD denied a records request. A restraining order was issued against Errol, according to 3 people. So these are like these things according to, and these things are seemingly no longer existing. So Errol denied the allegations, saying he had been cleaning up his stepdaughter's room after returning from a trip and finding the house in a terrible state. Afterward, Elon reportedly moved his father from the Malibu house to a boat in LA and then back to South Africa. But Errol claimed he left the U.S. on his own, though he was soon reliant on Elon and his brother Kimball for financial support. While Elon reportedly explored keeping Errol's children and stepchildren with Baizudenhout in California and even becoming their legal guardian, the family chose to return to South Africa in 2003. Baizudenhout and Errol divorced again in 2005, although in 2009 they reconnected. Around that time, the stepdaughter, now 21, claimed that Errol kissed her and stuck his tongue into her mouth. She detailed the incident application for an interim protection order in South Africa, in which she wrote to Errol, "I don't want him to be allowed to come close to me." The application was granted. Errol denied the allegation and claimed that his stepdaughter inappropriately kissed him while he was sleeping. As an adult, the stepdaughter struggled with drug abuse and homelessness. She told the Times that she tied her drug use to the trauma she experienced growing up. While Elon provided some support to the stepdaughter from afar when she was 29, the stepdaughter reached out to Errol for help as well. The two became intimate and had at least one child together. Holy shit. Okay. Wow. Okay, so the stepdaughter said they had one child, while Errol has suggested in other interviews they may have had more. He told the Times it was none of your business how many they'd had. Jesus. Okay, so this is the stepdaughter that he had multiple allegations throughout her life of impropriety. And then now here he is, supposedly knocked her up at least once. Okay, all right. 2022, Errol allegedly groped their 5-year-old son, according to family members. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the Bazoot. Is the daughter? Yeah, so the stepdaughter reached out to Errol. The two became intimate and had a child. Okay, yeah, so that was correct. I did read that correctly. Okay. And so then groped their 5. And so in 2022, Errol allegedly groped their 5-year-old son. That's why I was confused. Like, who's there? Like, are we talking about the mom, Bazudenhout? But it sounds like he moved on to the stepdaughter, the daughter of the mom that he married and divorced multiple times. And now he's moved on to her daughter. All right, well, one of those two's 5-year-old son apparently groped a son, so it's not even another level of, like, he just, okay. I mean, obviously it's awful either way, but you're like, there's obviously some sort of, he doesn't discriminate, I guess, in that sense, so gross. I mean, both are gross, but you know what I mean. It's just, you know, obviously, especially since that's Elon's dad, you know, obviously that makes you think. Yeah, according to family members, and Bazudenhout texted a relative the following year. He said, "Dad gropes his behind." He screamed, "No, Dad." A police investigation was opened, but prosecutors ultimately dropped the case due to insufficient evidence. Errol said of the allegations, there was no evidence because this is nonsense. The other allegations of abuse against Errol were mentioned in the application for the interim protection order filed by his stepdaughter. She claimed that Errol also abused one of his stepsons, who later died in a car accident, as well as his 2 daughters, Bazudenhout. While the stepdaughter did not provide details, Bazudenhout did reference abuse allegations from one of her 2 daughters with Errol in a letter she sent to Elon around 2007. Another relative mentioned the same allegations contained in the protective order in a note sent to Elon in 2010. Errol accused the allegations, called the allegations that he abused his stepson nonsense, and the claims involving his daughter absurd. His daughters. Elon declined to comment for the Times story, and a representative did not immediately return additional requests for comment. Over the years, Elon has been frank, if not exactly full of details, when discussing his problems with his estranged father. In 2017 Rolling Stone story, he called Errol such a terrible human being, but did not provide specifics. "My dad will have a carefully thought out plan of evil," he said. "He will plan evil. You have no idea about how bad. Almost every crime you can possibly think of, he has done. Almost every evil thing you could possibly think of, he has done." That's a pretty crazy quote for one to say about their own dad. In Walter Isaacson's 2023 authorized biography, Elon says father had been uncomfortably attentive to his stepsister. He added that he was angry with Errol for his inappropriate behavior. Okay, well, I mean, Elon kind of looks like a good guy after all this. I mean, I know, obviously, makes you wonder what kind of his upbringing was like. Makes you feel a little bit bad for them. But I'm not going to lie, there's always, anytime I think about these generational, elite families, when you really think about how they grew up, or you do start to speculate, you do kind of feel a little bit bad. I do feel like it's probably... I don't know. I'd prefer, just being in a middle-class home, being loved by my, mother and father, as opposed to what these entitled people end up dealing with. So I think we might be getting a little bit of a look into that. And then there's always the hurt people idea. So what does this mean of Elon? I don't know. Maybe he's rose above these patterns put in place. It's always, real boy or not with him. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But all right, let's roll through the chat one last time, and I think that's about all I think we got for today. Let me see if I can't find a little outro for you guys for funsies. I forgot to have that set up already. But yeah, I think that'll probably be it for today. We'll roll through the chat one more time, see if there's anything in there. But yeah, let's see what you guys got to say. Bobo says, "Get the QR code and shade your water." Damn it. I do have a QR code for my Patreon that Jacob made for me, so I'll have to set that up. I need to put that on there. Good morning. Who else we got in here? Good morning, Chuck Bam. I still don't believe you about the UFO. Good morning. Junkie Jeff said, "Jose, did you see my magic bullet theory post? I did tag you, and I was hoping you could get someone interested in occult symbolism to discuss the idea." Yeah, I need to go tag if you can tag me that again, because it accidentally I meant to bookmark it so I could save it for later, but because I'll totally forget. But then I accidentally it got buried in my notifications because there's a bunch of other stuff going on. So it'd be a nightmare to even try to find it again. I guess I could probably just go to your post, but if you could tag me, that'd be helpful, because I did see it, and I was like, I'll try to remember that. I can't promise you anything, but I'll try to remember to bring that up at some point. So if we ever do talk about that on any episode. Noname says Errol Musk called Elon a retard in a DJ Vlad interview. The whole situation was crazy work. Okay, that's pretty funny. Okay, so maybe we'll see dad versus kid versus dad type thing. Justin Valentine said this is how an elite is made. Exactly. Chaco Ho says, can't believe you're just learning about this. I'd heard there was something before, but I don't know. So Elon as a child who is his niece/nephew and his brother/sisters is Justin Valentine. I'm not even going to try to wrap my head around the relations here, but I guess, sure. Let me see. Justin Valentine, if Elon ever becomes president, his family tree should definitely be classified. Yeah. All right. Let's get out of here. I think we did it, people. For those who want to support what I'm doing over here, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Follow me on Twitter at TowerGangJose. Keep in mind I'm on YouTube, on Rumble, all the podcatchers, anywhere you get podcasts at, I'm there. Do whatever you can to support in those different places, and all that does is cost you absolutely nothing, and those help the show out big time. I appreciate it. When you add those 5-star reviews on Spotify, it makes it so I can flex on Josh Hammer even harder. They hate it. That destroys them their soul. I'm literally pointing out how how he's not they could pay me a core probably they'd probably have to pay me about the same. But the point is they're losing their money. I mean, I don't know. It'd be pretty. I don't know. I guess I already sold my soul once and then came back from it. I guess I wouldn't do it again. But my point being is, it's there's got to be someone else equivalent to me that would sell their soul, and they're paying these guys probably 6 figures, and no one gives a fuck what they have to say. It's just odd. And when you just make that even worse, it destroys them deep inside. And that's what we want to do. We want to destroy them deep inside. That's our way here. And for those who want to support the show in the best way you can with money, you can do that over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level is $2, and that gives you access to all sorts of perks. It gives you early episodes, usually do 1 to 2 of those a week usually. It was going to be Nick Bryant. I think we're having Ken on now tonight, and probably have Nick next week. But those are the sort of things you would get early. If you ponied up $2, you also get an ad-free RSS feed. You also get access to Telegram. You get access to pre-show, the post-show, and video calls from me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead. And I give a big shout out to my sponsors every episode. It's a big thank you to everything they do. This is at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. I have my previous co-host on Tower Gang, at Learn to Toad, also at AbrogateDs, at ZOVRACK, at _InvitZeal, Tim Tuttle, at John Klebold, Will Bell's Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine, big fan of the show, Torn May, at Wayne Taculus, The Catcher in the Rye, and Mark Vestibule. And with that, guys, we're going to get out of here. I love you all. Thank you for joining us. See if there's any fun stuff in the thing. See you all. Love you all. Bye-bye. Enjoy your little outro. Here is an adorable anteater. Whoever knew they were so adorable? And enjoy this adorableness. No sound, sorry for the audio people, but it's adorable.